Oh Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes Benz? My friends all drive Porsches, I must make amends. Worked hard all my lifetime, no help from my friends. So oh Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes Benz? Hi there, good morning, how's it going? Today is Monday, August 18th, 2025. Not sure of the exact temperature since I don't have cell phone service out here, but nice and warm, feeling perfect, a gorgeous blue sky day. No, that phone does not work, no dial tone. So I need to clarify at the beginning here that no, my vehicle is not currently broken down. This video is a story of my truck breaking down in the wilderness 9 years ago in September of 2016, right near the Marble Mountains of Northern California. This is Yosemite National Park. I'm on a camping road trip. Arrived yesterday, and so I want to tell a quick little story here from yesterday, and then that will be very relevant in just a minute. So yesterday I drove into the park without knowing my exact plans, thinking that the campgrounds would probably all be full up, being August, middle of the summer tourist camping and road tripping season. And so I had very low expectations of actually being able to camp here. So I enter the park through the entrance gate, and then there is a park ranger office right there. I go in to try to find out about campgrounds, and they say basically it's all done online. And so I could have done all this, beforehand, but they said there is Wi-Fi at a lodge just a mile outside of the park entrance. And so she recommended that I go back and check online there. And so I drive back out and go to this lodge and look online, and it turns out there's tons of campsites available, as is the case having walked around here. I guess that tourism is down, probably because of the economy and other reasons, and also yesterday was Sunday, so Sunday night better than the weekend. And so I book a site for 3 nights here at Yosemite Campground Creek. And then I'd looked online to get a little bit more information, and it said that there was no water available at the campground, but you can get water out of the creek. And so there's a little general store at the lodge there. I go in there to buy some supplies, food and drinks, and then ask about water purifying tablets or something like that. And they don't have any. And it turns out that was kind of a good thing, because then I got a big bottle of water. I actually already have a bottle of water in my car for emergencies, but bought another one, and then got out here, and lo and behold, here is the creek with virtually no water in it. So good thing that I have my own water. Now, I went for a little wander up that way a little while ago, and found more water up there, and so was able to splash water on my face and hair and stuff. But that is kind of apocalyptic to see. The Yosemite Creek and no water in it, of course, August, so things are drying out. But I didn't realize that these creeks would be just dead, basically, at this time of year. Okay, so I have a very big, long story to tell about my truck breaking down in the wilderness, and then a whole wilderness adventure that transpires after that. But I'm not going to get into that now. I'm going to have a slow morning, get some breakfast. I have food in the bear storage locker that I showed at my campsite, which is just up there, and then drive out of here across Yosemite National Park and go do some various exploring, hike to a lake, and maybe get back to Tuolumne Meadows, etc. So this is going to be a story and a wilderness adventure of its own, exploring amazing Yosemite National Park, one of the most beautiful places in the world. All right, so more coming soon. So I got started driving and then just had my breakfast of cheese, salami, crackers, yogurt, although it turned out I didn't realize it's a yogurt alternative made with cashew nuts and other stuff, and then some little donuts at this rest stop. And look what we got right over here. Some local wildlife. Let's see how close we can get. Pretty cool. They are very tame. Man. Hello. How's it going today? Look at this. All right. There she goes. Okay. All right, so now time to drive a bit further that way, see some more of the amazing views here in Yosemite, and then get started on a hike and start the story. May Lake, High Sierra Camp, 1.2 miles one way. So that sounds like a very nice stroll here to what should be a pretty little lake here in the Sierra Nevada mountains of Yosemite National Park, California. So I imagine that a few of you are wondering why I'm making a video about this story when I've already posted a video about it. I actually made a movie because I filmed the whole thing. Although I didn't actually film the whole thing, which is partly why I'm making this video, because much happened that didn't make it on film. And also it has been a long time, 9 years since this all occurred, and I posted that movie. It's like more than an hour long movie, and so I wanted to retell it and add some more details, and also it's a story to tell while hiking through the beautiful wilderness here. Now this is kind of a popular hike, so people come in. So I need to set the context first. Summer of 2016. I'm traveling in Europe. My brother sends me a message, or we talk on the phone or whatever, and he says he's getting a new vehicle and he's offering to give me his pickup truck. A Mazda pickup truck that I forget was maybe 20 years old at that point. And so I say, great, sounds good. I'll fly back and pick it up. So sometime later, then I fly back from Spain into Oregon and head out to Eastern Oregon, where my brother lives with his wife and their son. Okay, lots of people on this trail. They no longer live in Oregon. They're actually not too far away in Reno now. But anyways, I visit them, get the truck, go on a road trip across Oregon to the coast, and then start heading south to go visit family in California, where I'm from. I decide to go on a wilderness backpacking trip in the Marble Mountains in Northern California. Well, I had a lot of experience with that wilderness area because we went there when I was a kid. My family, mom, dad, younger brother, lived in Mendocino County, Northern California, and it was a few hours drive up to that area of really amazing, pure, pristine wilderness that is not very well known because it is so out of the way. So here, coming across lots of people on the trail, the Sierras in general, and especially Yosemite, are very, very popular. But this area is much less known, so you really get the true remote wilderness solitude kind of an experience. Pardon my huffing and puffing here as I try to tell a story while hiking in the mountains. So I had been there as a kid. Several times we went out there, and then I went back in 1998 solo, and then again in 2012. And so I was very familiar with the area, good trails for the most part, little foreshadowing there. And, was fully prepared, very experienced with backpacking in general. I worked in Denali National Park. I worked in Jasper National Park, backpacked in lots of places around the West. So this was a fairly straightforward place to go. Backpacking, good trails, not harsh conditions. This was in September. It was looking good for my trip. And so I head out there, and I am driving out this dirt road to get out to the trailhead that I'm planning to start from. I had never started from that trailhead before. There's like 3 or 4 different access points to get into the wilderness area, which is roughly kind of circular shaped. Lots of lakes back in there that are stocked. You can fish. I was only planning to go out for 3 or 4 nights. So I'm driving out this trailhead. It's a long dang ways, maybe 10 miles or so, maybe a little bit more than that, but it is extremely windy, curvy, and slow going. So it takes 30-40 minutes or whatever. And then I am about a mile from the trailhead when I come up over this little hill, 1-lane gravel road, and there's this clunking sound, and then my engine cuts out. I hit the brakes, try to start it, and it won't start. I forget now if it was turning over. I think it was turning over and just would not start. Anyways, I try and try. It's not happening. Man, it is heating up fast. I'm actually wishing that I'd worn my sandals at this point. Alright, so my truck is not starting. I am on a 1-lane gravel road in which I am now blocking traffic in case anybody else tries to go up there or is at the trailhead and needs to come back out. Pardon all the interruptions, lots of people on this trail. I did another hike yesterday to Lucan's Lake and didn't see a single person on that one. So maybe it is because this is going to be even a lot more spectacular. So I am parked on this one-lane dirt road in which, if I can't move my truck, I am now blocking traffic, either trying to go up there or people at the trailhead trying to come out. That is going to be a major disaster for anybody who, just went backpacking. They're exhausted, just hiked all day, try to leave, and then they can't leave, and there's no cell phone service there. So that is part of the issue, or at least I didn't have cell phone service. I'll get to that in a little while. But I've just come up over this little hill. I surveyed the situation, and there is a pullout just right down the road there. But my truck is basically kind of like straddling this hill. Imagine, the back wheel is there, the front wheel is here, or maybe a little bit more of a hill there, but it's very, very little. And so it looks like it's conceivable that I could possibly push it up and over that and then back it down and pull into that spot, and then I am off the road. And so I get out and start trying to push the truck. I have to rock it back and forth, back and forth. Finally, it gets up and over the little hump and starts going backwards. I hop in the truck and, steering it with the door open so that I can, see better where I'm going. And so I back into the turnout. I think that I go to hit the brakes and they don't work because it's power brakes, but of course it's not on, so I have no choice there. But there's like a hill going up like that where the pullout is, and so anyways, I managed to park it into that spot off the road. Now I can fully contemplate the really, really, really bad situation that I am in. So it is 10 or 12 miles or something down a gravel road with very, very little traffic to get to the highway. The highway is in the absolute middle of nowhere. The closest town is further north. I didn't actually go through the closest town of Happy Camp, but it is north from that point on the highway. South, the way that I came, then the next town is even further, and it's just another little town. I have no idea if there are mechanics or towing companies in either of those towns. So this is really bad. Plus the fact that I don't have cell phone service. So what the hell do I do? My only choice at that point is to hike out of there and then make a decision. Once I get to the highway, maybe I'll get a ride with somebody heading down there. Likely not. Once I get there, I have to decide, am I hitching north to the closer town or south to the further, somewhat larger town with no internet to, check or call to see if there is a mechanic and or towing company in either of those towns. So as I sit there trying to decide how to deal with this conundrum, then I decide, you know what? I'm here. I'm a mile from the trailhead. Let's do my backpacking trip. Put this on hold. It's going to be the same situation when I come back. Foreshadowing, no, it wouldn't be the same situation, but I couldn't have possibly known. I will explain more about that later. So I decide, all right, let's just go ahead with the backpacking trip and then come back and then I've at least gotten my adventure in that I came here to experience. And then I will deal with this situation. So I get all packed up and start hiking up the road. Now, it's pretty late at this point. I'd driven a bunch. I'd been stuck trying to get the car to start, and then pushing the car, and then considering my plans, and then getting packed up. And so it is, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 in the evening. Basically, the sun is starting to go down. This is mid-September, and so the days aren't especially long. And so I hike the mile or so to the trailhead. There are no other cars there. I go up to the bulletin board, take a look. I have my campfire permit. I am all set, gear, food, everything for 4 or so days. And then I kind of glance around and start down the trail. Now, about 30 seconds later, I hear the faintest of noises. I stop, listen closer, kind of fades in and out. I hear it again. It starts to get a little bit louder. And I realize a vehicle is coming this way. I look down the trail, I look back towards the trailhead, decide, you know what? I should probably take advantage of this potential opportunity to deal with this and maybe get the ride out. Maybe they're a mechanic, who knows? But I decide to turn around, walk back to the trailhead, and wait for them. Now, as it would turn out, this was just the most fortuitous thing that could have happened right then, which massively saved my butt in a way that I couldn't have expected. But I will explain that way down the line here towards the end of the story once you hear what ended up happening. And then I will explain how it would have been much different if I had been a few minutes ahead, hadn't heard the vehicle, and had kept hiking. So I get back to the trailhead. It doesn't take long. Vehicle shows up. It is 3 men in a Jeep or something like that. I wave to them and then walk over and say, hey, did you guys see that pickup truck parked on the side of the road? They say, yep. And then I say, I don't suppose any of you might happen to be a mechanic. And the guy in the driver's seat says, yeah, my dad's a mechanic, sitting in the car next to him. I think that it was 3 generations, grandpa, father, son. Wow, this hike is a lot tougher than the one yesterday. That one was like practically flat. This is an intense mile. So I then asked them, any chance you'd be willing to head back down and take a look at that thing? See if you can maybe, save my butt here. And they say, sure. So I hop in the car, the Jeep, and we drive back down to the truck. And they all start looking at it, popping the hood, checking everything. But ultimately, they can't figure out what the problem is. They don't have cell phone service either. One of the guys says there's a mechanic and a separate towing company in Happy Camp, and they could come get you, but we have no way to call them. And so they spent a good while there, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, something like that, doing their best to try to figure it out. And in the course of that, another truck comes along. And so those people see the little scene going on there and stop, ask what's up, and we explain the situation. And then one of the guys in that truck says, well, my cell phone works here. I think he had Verizon, and he had service. And so he lets me use his phone. I call the towing company and say, I am stuck out in the middle of the wilderness out here, out one of the roads. Can you come get me? And he's really reluctant. He says, man, I've done this before. You get lost. It's such a maze. The directions are difficult to make precise, to be certain that I'll actually find you. Otherwise, it's like, hours of driving around and then I don't find the person and then I'm out of luck, no payment. But I explain, it is on the way to Johnson's Creek Hunting Ground Trailhead. I think that's what it was called. And it's a mile from the end of the trail. There are no other roads in that mile, and so any way that you go through there, if you are headed towards the Johnson's Creek Hunting Ground Trailhead, then you have to come across me. And so finally he agrees. And I hang up and say thanks to all those guys, and they all take off. So I sit there and wait. It gets dark. I continue waiting. And eventually I hear a low rumble off in the distance. Keep listening. And then eventually I see like a flash of light. The noise is getting louder. And I see the lights again. They're pointing my way. Sure enough, it's a vehicle coming this way at that time of night. It's got to be the tow truck guy. So I wait, and sure enough, he pulls up, loads my truck onto the back, and we drive back to Happy Camp. And here we are at May Lake. It is gorgeous. Wow. I just might have to go for a swim. It's a little bit bigger than Lucan's Lake and definitely prettier. Look at the surrounding. Do you call it a mountain when it's just a big piece of rock? Look at that. This is Yosemite. Just classic, I guess, granite all over the place. You can hike for miles without setting foot in dirt. Just these exposed rocks everywhere. Nice crystal clear looking water. So how cold is it going to be? Can't be that cold when it's August. Yeah, it's nice. Cool-ish, but not that, kind of shocking chill of freezing cold. And then up here we have some different structures, tents and a rock little cabin or whatever, maybe for storage or anyways. It said Sierra High Camp, so that is obviously the camp. Okay, well, let's continue walking around this way. But first, I got a root beer to drink. Does that thing look beautiful or what? Henry Weinhard's root beer. That is one of the best. And it tastes better when you're hiking. So by the time we arrive in Happy Camp, it is like midnight or 1 a.m. or something. The tow truck driver is different from the mechanic. The tow truck drops me off at the only mechanic in town. The cost of the tow is $350. I have to my name at that point like $1,000, maybe $1,200, something like that. And no assets, no stocks, no trust fund. There's never been a trust fund. Just $1,000 or so to my name at that point. And so I'm realizing I'm going to pay, $350 for the tow, and I still have to fix the damn thing. And so how much is that going to cost? And then I'm left with basically nothing. I would have been getting a YouTube paycheck at some point because I was making a living on YouTube at that point, but it was not much. I was traveling on $1,200, $1,500 a month at that point. So he drops me off, of course, with my truck and takes off. Now, if there is a hotel in Happy Camp, there probably is, but either way, I couldn't afford it. So I slept in the back of the truck right there at the mechanic. And then in the morning, they show up, 9 o'clock or whatever, and I walk over and explain the situation. He says, okay, I'll get to it as soon as I can. No time frame of when that's going to be. It doesn't take too long. I'm sure that he understands I'm in an especially bad predicament here. An hour or something. And then he gets it into the shop. And so I wait, whatever, 30, 40 minutes. He comes out and says, your fuel pump is broken, which I can fix, or at least I could fix normally. The problem is I need to order the part. It will take a day. Today is my last day on the job because I'm going into the hospital to have a hip replacement surgery done. And he's going to be gone for like 6 weeks or something, and the shop is just closed while he's gone. He says, sorry, I just can't do anything to help you with this. Your only chance is to get the truck down to Willow Creek, which is the other town which I had driven through on the way up there, but it is back the way that I'd come. I'd already towed the truck over to the highway and then north. Now I would need to go back south, covering that same ground, and then another hour or so further. It was $350 for the tow already. It's going to be a lot more expensive for a longer tow, and then I still have to get the thing fixed. I don't know that I even had a credit card at that point. I forget. And so I say, all right, let me think about this. And so I'm seriously considering maybe just ditching the thing, saving my money. It's a 20-year-old truck, not worth a whole lot, and just hitchhiking out of there. But then I realized, well, before I abandon it, why don't I ask the guy if he wants to buy it? So I go up to him and say, any interest in buying this truck? He knows what the problem is. He can see the condition. He knows that he can fix the problem. So it's a possibility. And so he says, hold on a minute. I'm going to check the Blue Book price. He has a Kelly Blue Book right there. Oh wait, I think that he asked me on the spot how much. And I said $1,600, just off the top of my head. And he says, okay, wait a second. Going to check the value. He comes back, sure, I'll buy it. But I don't have the cash now. I can't pay you right now, but I promise I will pay you in the future. Mail me a check. And so I say, great, deal. I mean, I have no other options at that point. And he's a mechanic. He's probably trustworthy. And if not, I know where he works. So I say, okay, it's yours. Now I just got to pack this thing up. Okay, I'm considering a swim. Let's get down to the edge of the lake. And so I'm figuring to pack up and then hitchhike out of there and go to family in Mendocino County, where I'm from, and so much for that backpacking adventure. And then I think that I might have been looking at my map and saw that there was another trailhead that was much closer than the one where my truck had broken down. And so I look at the distance. It's like, I think 11 miles from there, a road going out there. And so I decide, you know what, let's just do the backpacking trip and, you know, do what I came here for, have an experience, an adventure, and then I'll hitchhike back to family. Now, what I decide is that I'm going to enter at this other trailhead that is closer to Happy Camp, and then do this hike around, in which I will then end up back at the trailhead that I had originally been driving to, which I had broken down just before, then hiked to the trailhead, started walking up the road, heard the car coming, turned around. So I will exit at that trailhead there, which once I get out of there, I am then further south, and so it actually leaves me closer as far as going back out of there. And so I think that that makes sense. Which it did kind of sort of make sense, except that I didn't have some information that I would discover later that would very much change things. So I decide to go for it, but I have too much stuff because I have a truck with extra things in it. And so I think that I even had some boxes, cardboard boxes, in the truck. And so it is a weekday, fortunately, and there is a post office right nearby. So I decide to pack up everything that I don't need for this backpacking trip, mail it to my mom's house, where I will be going next, and then start hitchhiking, try to hitchhike up that road to the trailhead, and start that backpacking adventure. And so that all transpires that day. I get the boxes packed up, mailed, hand the mechanic the keys, and pack up my backpack, walk to the edge of town where the road goes off of the main highway, heading towards the wilderness area and the trailhead. It is 11 miles, I believe, from there. And so the plan is to hopefully hitchhike that 11 miles. And then there is a campground right near the trailhead, sleep there for the night, and then the next day, journey into the wilderness. All right, I'm gonna take a swim.